Which is hilarious because nobody uses cans or bottles.
If you want John, you can come in.
It's just recycling. They separate everyone.
I feel like cans and bottles should be one and then just get recycled. Because those two are easy to sift through, right?
You guys can't talk because the Kitchener people will pick it up on the mic. So no more talking.
Can I see them?
No. We're streaming to them.
Oh, I can watch this in history.
Well, no,
What are you doing?
so they can hear him.
Just muted for now.
Oh, no, I'm completely.
Play that game.
It's not picking that up.
Also, you're giving way more view of the back of the room.
Yeah,
Oh.
What time is it? On the HDMI something.
Is that better?
734.
Well, that's picking up Zach's face. How about that? That just picks up like your hand and your leg.
No.
Well, now you're blocking the screen. Are you gonna do it all touch?
Oh, wow, Denny. What a nice background.
Thank you.
I don't like
He's
it.
shown me like 10 times today. First thing, he goes, hey, look at my background.
It's pretty. Look at my background.
It's literally the first thing.
Any ships are called junk. Piece of junk.
Because it probably is a piece of junk.
It's almost like they were named in a different language or something. Yeah, maybe. That kind of a ship is called a junk. Junk.
Hey, maybe the word like junk, like piece of junk, comes from that.
Maybe the word junk, as in, Yes.
I know what you're going
comes
at.
from that. I don't know whose stuff this is, but I don't think they can sit here. Move this chair back.
No, I'm moving it forward.
I know, but move it back because I don't want anyone to sit there.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't it weird? Like when you think about like these names for countries, it's like, hey guys, it's like you say like land in China, you're like, what's your place called? You're like Zhonggok, and then they're like China.
I'm sorry, that's
What's weird about that?
Isn't that weird though? Like,
Country name is China?
no, like that.
The people.
It sounds totally different.
Well, no. Different by language.
Yeah, but like it doesn't sound like this.
You can never win an argument with them.
I don't know.
With Isaac.
I'd really like to see that happen.
It's hard to
Them
argue.
argue. I feel like it would get escalated.
I'm good enough at arguing with people that I can generally convince them that they're wrong, even if I am.
There's no way you could tell me that. Naming something China when it sounds nothing like China.
It's one of my favorite heritage moments. When I was in grade 4, that was our history class. Was literally just watching the heritage moments. Commercials.
Oh, yeah, those
We
stupid
watched-
commercials.
No, they all got. We watched
No, they don't.
No, it's not during the
There's a lot of heritage moments to
Yeah.
watch. Jeez.
How many moments do we have? There's way more chairs in the back. There's no more chairs.
It's a nice concert.
We pushed a whole bunch of the back.
Thank you very much.
LS you're
Oh, here,
using?
let's get one in front.
Yeah, like, go for it. It's just so good. I don't want to actually. I don't want
Come on, you two, let's play backwards. Four chairs.
Can't know about that LS.
Control.
Oh, you don't even have control of it, do you? What?
It's like a bucket brigade of chairs.
I got I never
So everyone, I just wanted to say thanks for coming out. Sorry about, it's our first time setting this up, more or less, and we're working all that out. I hope you will agree with me that the spaces that we have available here are worth it, so we can try it out next time, even make it even easier and better for everyone. And thanks a lot.
That's all I'm saying.
Awesome. Okay. So I guess for anyone who doesn't know, that's Dan. He helped put this all together. Also thankful to Mike. He's the manager here at CTI Innovations. He pretty much had to spend the last day, thankfully, trying to get you each through security. So
Thanks,
so thanks to Mike. He worked really hard to get you guys here. And my name on the meetup says Canadian Tire Ambassador. I did nothing. Awesome. So from there, I'm just going to quickly start up and get going from here. So I'm going to be talking about Meteor today. And from that, I went back and forth exactly what I should talk about. I was gung-ho on doing Meteor. A lot of the guys who know me know I'm a really passionate guy about Meteor. And then along the way, I thought, well, you know what, I should do something new. So I thought, okay, I'll do Famous. And then I got all into Famous, got going in there. If anybody knows that, it's a really cool library. But then in the end, one of the guys that works here, Jonathan Dart, or Jay Dizzle, he's not here right now, but we got discussing about Meteor and about our current framework that we use here where we work. And we decided, you know what, things sometimes can be quite challenging, and it lends itself really well to what Meteor is about. So I thought I'd talk about that. So anybody that knows anything working with Node.js, Express, and then Angular on the other end, there's a lot of challenge to getting different pieces working. So you got things like grunt and gulp to run your tasks. You got Node npm. You got to know how exactly to use that. You're gonna have to know how to use Bower. You're gonna have to know if you use sales on top, how you're gonna run sales. You're gonna have to learn how to do the auth. You're gonna have to learn how to do OAuth 2. It goes on and on. You're gonna have to learn REST. If you start using Socket.io, that's on top there too. You're gonna have to toss in Bootstrap. You're gonna have to learn how to do Mongo. And there's commands and such for each one, and it can be quite extensive a lot of times for, I think, our co-ops coming in to learn all of these that fast. So even from there, you got things afterwards, getting into PhoneGap, Ionic. How exactly do those work together? If anyone hasn't heard about the Ionic Angular thing tomorrow, you should check that out as well. But there's a lot of commands to learn for all of these things. So, and then from there, Grunt does a great thing for us by, or Gulp, whoever uses that, does a great thing for you by compiling, minifying all of your files together, breaking down your SAS for you. But there's still a lot to get going on that. So I wanted to kind of introduce why I thought Meteor was an awesome way to avoid all of these crazy amounts of small tools. Now, I realize there is some part to it that a lot of people like these small tools, right? It's the Unix way of thinking. I want the smallest tool possible that does exactly what I want, and that's all I want from it. And so someone with that mindset oftentimes gets a little bit afraid of Meteor, doesn't like that. I can understand that. But for someone who wants to get prototyping up and fast and then get products out there, it's a great tool. So I decided the best way to go with Meteor is to actually just do a little bit of coding and take a look at exactly what it does. So let's start right away. Anybody that knows how to install Sales, Angular, Ionic, all of those, lots of commands, lots of things to get up and running. We're going to start with making a new project. Let's call it a Meetup. There you go. So we're going to create one, depending if I'm online. Get booted off. So it made it. So we're up already running with our project. So we can hop in here. There's a couple files. We're going to run Meteor. So Meteor runs our application for us. So you don't got to boot up Mongo. You don't got to boot up Express. You don't got to boot up Angular, run all of those things. It'll just handle that for you and launch it for you. And it'll do a lot of the watching things for you that you'll actually kind of expect from Grunt. So you can see it's running on localhost 3000. So let's throw my Grunt things in the background there. So we're already up and running. So when we look at this, we can click, and things are already going for us. So from there, we want to actually quickly make a nice file structure for it. So anybody that comes from the other realm, even project like Rails and such, you're going to be used to client server and then maybe some kind of project. So let's quickly put that going. So we're just going to leave that running in a lot of reload. So let's make a client, make a server. We're going to go over these in just get to listen to the awesome sound of me typing. Oh, okay. So from here, we've made a client end, a server end, and some folders that are just going to help us in client. So let's make a collections. So this is where our database pieces are going to be, and a public. This is for something like images and whatnot. Okay, so the file structure is already up and running for us. And the great thing about Meteor, it notices the name of these folders. As long as you put these folders in correctly, it's going to know which ones are client, which one are server, and won't run your code on the wrong ones. Okay, so let's move everything that has to do with the Meetup. Let's move it into client. It's done. Okay, so our code's in there. This is still running for us. Great. So we're still going. So from there, we're actually going to make a home folder here. And we're going to move that into. Okay. So that's the boring part out of the way. I just have to kind of set up the packages. So from there, we want something that easily allows us packages. Now, anybody that's used NPM, anybody that's used Bower knows that you got to know which one's which. Not too hard ones, usually for the front end. One's usually for your back end node stuff. So, but from there, we're going to actually add Bootstrap. So the best way, Meteor has an awesome community that sets up packages on actually like a really slick-looking website. But sometimes lately their search function hasn't worked. Which seems like all things the Odyssey just doesn't. Let's do. Okay. So the package we're looking for is here. You click on it, hop in, you can see the package. You downloaded it. You can hop to their GitHub through here. So we're going to just add what it tells us to right on the front here. So here, add Mozilla Bootstrap-3. Okay, and it's going to handle putting this package in for us. You can also do other things. You can actually pull in NPM stuff as well. These are things that people have actually wrapped for us. So we hop back over and see it kind of changed just a bit because we moved over to Bootstrap. Okay, so from there, let's start taking a look at the code. Now, I apologize. We have debates all day about which text editor to use. Clearly, Vim's the best, so we're going to use that.
Keep going. Keep going.
Okay, tell me what's good.
You're good.
Okay. So from there, let's open up JavaScript. And now I can't make one slip up on Vim. Because if I do, the other guys here will have my ass. They slip up. So, okay. So from here, we can kind of see how things are running. This is the HTML. This is the JavaScript. There's really nothing going on in the CSS right now, so don't worry about it. There is actually literally nothing in CSS right now. So this code here is stuff that's running on the client end, and this is running on the server. Since we're in a client folder, this will actually do nothing. It's something that you can do when it's in a public folder. So we can also pull up this because no matter what, it's in the client. Okay, so it's a lot easier to read this way. So from here, what we see is there's a template called hello that's going to be rendered whatever is in the template. It could be in any other folder in your client. And it says, there's a button that says click me. Okay, and it's going to display counter. Well, reverting back to here, counter is going to return the session, the number of counts. Counts is going to get set each time someone clicks it. So someone clicks button, we're going to set the session counter to be that +1. So really simple. Everybody that knows kind of jQuery in a bit can kind of read what exactly is going on here. So what we're going to do is quickly whip up a chat room. One of the great parts of Meteor, everything's in real time, right? Everything is instantly connected through Socket.io or really what's over at DDP. We can kind of chat about that after. So we're going to quickly try and see what we can whip up. If it starts getting late, I do have the project already done. You talked about putting it up on a blog. I can post it so anybody that wants to check out the full thing. So let's quickly start. So we're going to start first with, we'll start by making the style, which I already got defined because the things actually got a large style sheet. And I'm going to say actually. Because I'm checking my way up. Okay. Okay. Perfect. So no matter what you put in, even if it is CSS, you don't have to link it up to your main file. It'll automatically know already when you've put something in there. So we have a new CSS file. It doesn't really wrap any of the stuff in here, so there's no visual change. But let's quickly remove our old one, and let's move these names. We're going to move it to home.html. I promise you, just speed up in a second. Okay. So we have kind of a synchronized home now. Everything still works in here. So from here, let's make our database. And this is kind of the really cool part of Meteor is how easy you can do these sort of things. So what we're going to do, close this. Okay. So in collections, we're going to add a new collection here. So we're going to call it comment. Toss it in there. Open it up. So let's make a new database. Okay, and that's all it takes to make a new database. So we can hop over here. It'll auto reload on its own, but let's do it before. Let's open up the terminal. We'll get out of relation mode. And let's see. So it's already noticed it. So we can take a look. You guys can't read this, sorry, I'll increase it. Okay, so I'm looking to see if there's any sort of things yet in comments. There's not. But you can already see I can access my database straight from the console. So the reason this happens is because any data you're allowed to see in a Meteor server will actually get uploaded to your computer, and you actually will query that data through your own computer. So the idea of this is, way back, we always had these kind of dummy terminals that our computer did nothing and the server did everything, right? And we would pass it some information, it would compile HTML, and send back to us. Then as things went along, we started building stronger front ends and weaker back ends. So they would send us, instead of HTML, it'd send us data. And on the front end, with something like Angular, we would compile that data into our own pages. This takes it a step further by sending somewhat of the whole database. Everything you're allowed access to is downloaded to your computer quickly. And what that allows is anytime you have to do a query, you're doing a query on your own computer. Okay, so from there, let's quickly keep going because I don't want to slow down too much. So we're now going to hop back here. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to start adding some things here. So let's quickly just copy and paste this to speed this up. Now everybody's got to promise not to read anything in there. Hey, let's see where my other one is. Cool. Yeah. So we're going to paste this quickly into our HTML. It's somewhat hard to see. So I'm going to zoom it out just a touch, sorry. Hope it's not too hard. So basically what we're doing here is we're going to have these different templates pointing to, essentially point to our other templates built in here. So like if we look at something like comment boxes, we're going to point to this template. And so we can pull this template out and put it into a different file and use that anywhere. So that allows us to have a lot of reusability in our code. You can think of something really small like an input form we can keep reusing in other areas. Same with comment input, it's going to be placed in here. We can kind of recognize this, it's your standard body tags. So we can actually pull these out, say make a comment input folder, and we can actually comment input.html. And this will work the exact same way. It'll know that that file exists elsewhere, because at the end of our process, it's actually going to minify everything together. So what this does is allows when someone comes in here, particularly a designer or someone who maybe doesn't know the actual source code too well, you can look at this and see, well, hey, you know what? Like, I'm looking for a comment input section. You can hop in here, and there's as little code as possible. Anybody that comes from an Angular background knows that it's a declarative language. We have a ton of logic in there. Of course, we try to avoid that as much as possible, but something like Meteor allows us to minify it. Look at how small amount of code is in here. And it's something that's actually really readable as well. Anytime you start seeing heavy ng repeats with heavy ng shows and ng hides within your Angular project, it becomes more and more distorted for someone who doesn't know the code with exactly what's going on in there. So we're going to keep going as fast as possible, because I'm way over where I wanted to be on time. So we're going to quickly highlight a couple of things, and then just jump up to our finished. So what we're going to do is grab JS. And so what this is going to do is it's template.commentbox.helpers. It's going to go into our comments database. It's going to find every single one. If anybody's worked with Mongo, you kind of know this query before. And basically, wherever comments is called in comment box, it's going to display the content thing. Okay, so we're not going to be able to start up till our login buttons, and we're going to hit one of the main things I really want to talk about, was the ability to use OAuth, right? If anybody's done OAuth using a sales system and using Angular, it requires a lot of extensive token passing. OAuth is kind of a really challenging system. It could take days for you to actually get up. One of the great things with Meteor is it comes built in. So let's do here add accounts. So this is going to actually add the ability to add accounts. The only thing required left from here is we want to be able to add some way of authorizing them. So we're going to add accounts password. These are built-in Meteor packages that you don't have to use. So this will actually also give us our login button feature. So you can see we already got some stuff up and running. There's a sign-in. Let's hop in here. So asking for my email. Because I have a creative account. Maybe something that's not really good. Gotcha. I can just see that turning around do that. So you can see I'm already logged in. If I call, you can call to check yourself in here. You can see I already have an ID, so we're already completely authorized. We have accounts ready to go. So you can see that took only a couple seconds to do. And if we really wanted to up it even from there, we can Meteor add accounts. So everybody here uses GitHub. You don't, you're doing it wrong. I'm not that elitist. I just like any kind of guys here. Some guys don't. So hey, you're not the same as I thought you once were, though. So if we sign out and sign in, we have we can set up our GitHub, no problem. We can also do the same Facebook, Twitter, Meetup. I guess I could have done that since we were all over that. So we already have the login. What about if we wanted to insert a comment? Let's do. So it's already picking up the comments and displaying them. The only thing that we haven't synced up here is the ability to insert them within here. But they're already connecting to our database with no problem through our console. So from there, I don't want to go too much longer. We're going to actually hop over to a different project, just in case we started late, which I'm thankful I decided to do. So we're going to cancel our old project here. We're going to boot up this one. We'll just talk about some of the cool benefits here. So the beauty of it is it honestly is one of the fastest code you can ever do. You already saw there how fast it could add accounts. If anybody here has tried to do that over Express with Angular, it's been a long process for a lot of us guys doing here. We have some guys in Kitchener that actually try to work on OAuth systems. They open source that for anybody that's interested in looking at that. But it is a very tough process. And this here makes not only that easy, it allows a lot of different flexibility. So you can see different things are running here. It notices I'm a stranger. This would take probably about 30 to 40 minutes to code. I was hoping I could type really fast, but that obviously wasn't going to happen. And notice I'm anonymous. Just place it there. You have the opportunity to sign in. I think I have one called testing. Most secure way to test. Yeah, hi testing. So, and it's noticed that I'm testing and it's put it up. And it takes no time to code this. And some really cool features that we have in here that we're going to outline real quick before I pass it off. But you should always use it. I'm really not that. I use Sublime all the time, and I've done Atom and whatnot. I like to pretend.
Understand what the big fuss is about, like, you know, which one's better. Which one's
I don't get why. It's now turned into the sort of meta joke where you have to argue. Okay, so just looking really quickly, you can see here in my comments, there's some different ways that we're securing our data. We're only allowing users to if they add it, we check if we're removing it, we check if they're that user already. Now, when we're creating content, doing the comments here, we're making sure that they pass all of the stipulations we give them. And here you can see I've actually set up for users getting added a rigorous schema, very similar to a lot of times, at least in my experience, how I've done it in Rails. And you also have other great things. You have data fixtures. So one of our troubles we run across with sales, if anybody's using this, data fixtures aren't always the easiest to get running. We got them running. You have to wrap it and actually have it run. And the newest beta version will let you delete the data inside. But the fixtures here are super, super easy. Even on top of that, resetting your data in Meteor, instead of actually having to clear all your stuff out, just boot it up, you say Meteor reset, and it'll reset it for you. And that's all you have to do to actually reset your whole database. Of course, that also comes with some cautionary tale to not do that when you're in production. But from there, you have data migrations. Anybody that has a Rails background, we tried sales. There is some new stuff for migrations. There's also some undocumented stuff, but it's really tricky. So this one has a great package to simply migrate up and down, similar to how Rails does it. And the last thing I wanted to quickly show to some of the guys here, we do a lot of Cordova stuff here, and we also have a very strong love-hate relationship with Cordova. So if anybody does, it's a really frustrating tool that sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. Really complicated you have to kind of close it, put your data in. There's a way to get real time, or to actually watch your data and reload. So the great part with Meteor, you have also the opportunity to call Meteor run iOS. That wasn't bad, that was interesting. But that would have been cool too. So it's going to boot up iOS for us. It's going to have to install quickly. And so what it'll also allow you to do is while the actual emulator is running, you can update your code and it'll live reload in the emulator. You don't have to reboot it, restart it, copy your files over if you're like me and put in the www. And so it allows it just a quickly instant update with no problems. And further than that, it apparently allows, I haven't tested this part, but it just came out last week, that you don't have to actually update through the App Store. You'll be able to upload your code with Meteor. It'll directly go to the client, and it'll be a lot faster to get that running. So let's take a quick look at this. But it honestly mixes a lot of really great things. Anybody that's tried to run Socket.io knows it's a challenge. One of our biggest steps that we were worried about taking, we had tried Meteor before and there have been some worry of, is that it doesn't use REST. Well, in fact, you can run both DDP and REST using Meteor. So you have this kind of great ability that if you have some outside sources that you know want to follow the strict REST protocol, you have that ability to have that use that. But you also have DDP, which uses WebSockets, so it's connected real time. For an example, we made what I was going to talk about here is Global Garden, which is an automated gardening system I built with it. Or another time, we built laser tag with it. So someone would get shot using a Pi, it would instantly go back to the server. Server would let every other user know that he was shot. So we had all of these Raspberry Pis connected to the server. So by no means is it this kind of exclusionary thing where you have to have a Meteor client here. I built my own listener for Meteor using a Pi, and I don't know how long, 3 or 4 hours. So a super, super simple thing. So from here, we can hop on here, reload. So this is on 2 different devices, and they instantly update to one another. Even further than that, one of the challenges is to get this running online. We're going to use Meteor deploy winnipegjs.meteor.com. It's going to handle all of the wrapping, the packaging, send it up to the server. It'll start running, and everybody here can actually hop on the website and chat in real time to one another with, honestly, as little work as possible. So just wait to that. It's a pretty small project, so it shouldn't be a deal. So that's really it about Meteor. If anybody's got any questions, by all means. Again, I encourage everybody to hop on and say something. It's going to be on the screen note, so don't say anything stupid. Or say something stupid. I don't know. But yeah, it's honestly a really, really great system. Everybody that I know that I'm friends with knows I've been adamant about the system for about 2 years now. It's just about to release from beta into its full copy, or alpha release, I guess. So, yeah, does anybody have any questions about it while it's finishing up with it? Yes, Jeff. WinnipegJS.meteor.com. That's where I put it for now. They offer free hosting for now, too, to test your stuff. No. So everybody that's on there, that's just, I think I was going to explain it's a database. Right? So everybody can create an account. So let's say Denny. Yeah, let's not put something in there, actually. So everything in here is blocked off, though. You saw before I was able to actually communicate to my database through the console. That's been blocked off now. You can block that off, and would obviously recommend so before you go live. So there you go. Anonymous said hi. So does anybody else have any questions? No, I kind of like that. Chris, what's up? It's a free tool. It's open source. So everything's open source on it. It's on GitHub. Yeah. Anything I hate about Meteor? The most complicated part will be getting over like the reactivity of it. So one great thing about it is that like normally Node.js is asynchronous, right? So it takes a lot of tricky work with promises and stuff to get through it. Meteor is still asynchronous, but allows you to write more synchronous code. There'll be certain sections that are asynchronous, but you can break it down a little bit better where like certain parts it'll let you write synchronous and do the asynchronous. But the trouble though with that, that's all fine. I never actually troubled with the part that comes from that is that reactivity. You know how things instantly update. Some challenges to doing that is when you actually need very small parts to be reactive and not the whole page. Then you have to dig down a little bit lower and actually go through some kind of more complex commands that maybe aren't as open in the documentation that they should be. So that would be my biggest complaint is when you get to the really, really deep end of Meteor, there is some complexities. But I think that's true. So. What's going on? Oh my god, I need to see this. Oh, good. Well, there's never a day without a genitive joke. What's that?
Can you comment? So a portion of the database is copied.
Travis is awesome. Who wrote that? Yeah.
So a portion of the database is copied to the client. Can you comment some more on the mechanisms that dictate what portion of the database is copied?
Great. So the only portions that are copied are the portions that we allow to. And so Meteor uses a publish subscription model. I don't know if anybody's used that before, but basically Meteor will publish what's allowed to be seen based off some data from the user. Maybe using their ID, they'll use their ID and look at it and say, are is anybody allowed to see this? So the first part of publishing here, it's going to find, I've opened it. I had some parts of demo that you could actually close parts of it, but let's just say in comments, we only want them to see where the owner is this user. That would be something like that. So you can block off what is allowed to be subscribed to them. Then on the other end, people have to subscribe to your data. So that allows people outside of Meteor, when they're calling it, they have to know what to subscribe to, and what they'll pass the correct data into this function. So it's very, very secure. I know there was a little bit worries of it at first when Meteor came out, because that didn't actually exist. Everything was published and everything was accessible. So since then, though, things are it's somewhat like a traditional model where everything is rigorously defined, but it uses a published subscription to be a little bit more open to get connected to it. So I should close off because there's 2 other people. So one last question if anybody's got it. Okay, awesome. So I recommend you try it. Where might you go? Do you drink it? I know, but I felt like I should have had that. Oh, it was gone. Everyone take 5. Well, maybe not that long, but.
Anyone who wants to go to the bathroom is taking one of us. Yeah, that's true.
We
gotta walk them through.
We'll do it like prison too, where the guards come by with the nightsticks as they're going. Hey, pick it up there.
Go right into the next stop.
Everybody, who wants to go to the next stop? Next stop? Sure.
That's pretty big.
Who wants to go to Washington?
Oh, well, everyone can go to Washington. So I think everybody's ready. Oh, okay.
Does anybody have to? I can.
You also can do a dancing number.
No.
Not anymore. Yes, for sure. I did the whole presentation. No one knows. What have you gotten yourself into? You didn't prepare. You didn't look at anything. And you're not wearing any pants. There's a gray bag lying in the crowd somewhere. Does anyone see it? Gray.
It's on the chair right here.
It's over there? Good, that was my iPad. Nobody steal it.
It's a little heavy when I moved it. It's all right.
That's also got a box.
Here's your big.
That's cool. I'm just getting but I'm getting it on, so I'm good. I don't need to fucking press it. Okay. How big is it?
Bring it to a corner.
Yeah. Good enough. The command queue, the only way out. Okay. I can hear Jeff talking a little bit. Okay. I'm starting for those of you in the kitchen. Back to Elvin. Okay. So I was asked to make a presentation for this. I'm more into games than Denny is. Denny's more into web apps. We are twins, for in case anyone here who doesn't know us doesn't know.
I think there's a better time that you brought that up.
So, as he's scarfing pizza into his face, we're twins. We tend to focus on different sides. He enjoys the more of the mobile and the web apps. I'm more into games. So I was, Denny said that I could do a presentation here, so I got super pumped, and I was like, I'm going to do CreateJS. But I'm not going to just do CreateJS. I'm going to make the most bitching, awesome, life-changing game ever made. But unfortunately, Durkins came in on the weekend and asked me to play Hearthstone, so I got Space Invaders. So it won't actually hit them right now. I could have put that in, but I kind of had a little bit of a battle. I wasn't sure if I should make this super awesomely complex and like the high-end stuff, and then some people wouldn't understand it, or if I should make it more about the basics so that everyone can understand it. And it's about the basics. And they won't die. They'll eventually pass me. But anyways, CreateJS. Let's quickly go into presentation mode. I tried to differ. I tried to make a little slideshow. I've never actually used this. Where the hell is this slideshow done? I feel like this is planned. Well, that took up 5 minutes. Good. Yeah. What are we done? Is that almost done? Everyone's gonna go down? Okay, CreateJS. It's like Unity, except for not really. So for anyone who's never used Unity or who has used Unity, I love Unity. I use Unity all the time. And we have tasks here that, when I came here, that required what I felt was worthy of a game engine. Perhaps not everyone would have thought it was worthy of a game engine, but it's along the lines to me when someone's like, hey, we got this problem. It's like, well, we should throw a game engine on that. So this is what CreateJS is. It's built on top of Canvas. It encompasses Canvas. Why should we use it? It simplifies the Canvas interface. It's created using prototypes, so basically the JavaScript version of objects. So extending is very easy. It's usable with PhoneGap. And use NodeKit. NodeKit to turn into a desktop application. If anyone's played the game Dev Tycoon, one. All right, we got one. All right. So I don't care. So that's a game like Game Dev Story. If anyone's played that one, it was built using CreateJS and was released onto desktop mobiles using CreateJS and NodeKit. So it comes with 4 libraries. It comes with Easel.js, Tween.js, Preload, and Sound. I'll let you guess what one of them does, but the other 3 I won't. But so Easel is for actually painting onto the canvas. It allows you to paint on the canvas, put things on, and will render them regularly using stages. Tween is a lot like Flash, and I should say that all of this is very much like Flash. Anyone who did Flash or ActionScript programming is very, very similar to that. This allows you to do things like keyframes and being able to move from one place to another. Anyone who's used Canvas, it's not hard to do it, but it's definitely not as wanted or simple as it should be. Preload.js, this just allows you to load your assets before the program starts. So you don't have to have where you're in the middle of your game and a boss comes in, but it turns out you haven't loaded that asset yet, and that's going to take 10 minutes. Though if your boss takes 10 minutes to load, it's probably pretty awesome. So Sound.js plays sounds. So, yeah. I'm going to go into some simple things with it. So there's a stage. The stage is basically a container in which all of your objects will encompass. It surrounds the canvas. Canvas is actually inside the stage. And it will allow you to put things inside, and it'll be rendered regularly on ticks. We'll look at that in a sec. A shape is the most simple way of making any sort of impact on the canvas. It's not as simple as a circle or a square or anything like that. If you want images, you're going to look more into bitmaps or even sprite sheets and stuff like that. A ticker. So anyone who's used Unity will know the update method, or almost any game engine, even like GameMaker, Construct 2, all of those. All of them usually use an update method. This doesn't have an update method. It has what's called a ticker. And the ticker is going to tick however many frames per second you set it at, and it'll be running on the tick event, as you can see here. So if we ran this, it would literally just say hello and log over and over and over. So that does it for that part. I'm just going to jump into the code here. I'm not going to actually code stuff. I'm trying to differentiate. No, everyone can read it like this. One laugh. That's all I need, isn't it? Just laugh at examples. Yeah. Look at the idiot in the front. Okay, so most of this is just very simple things we're doing here. So first up, I'm just going to run through these. Just like most game engines, you're going to want to put some base variables in the top. So things like the amount of enemies I have, the space between them in pixels. While we're going through this, you'll see some stuff that is not quite up to etiquette in terms of I put numbers inside. Please do not comment on the numbers. I understand that normally you would have a variable at the top. So the canvas will take the canvas that we placed in the screen, which I can grab right here. So I have a canvas and it has an ID of my canvas. I don't give it a size. I don't give it anything like that. I'm going to be controlling that through the JavaScript. And I do the old school onload because retro is the way to go. I get like one laugh out of it. So these are all my scripts. I only have 5. I have the main, the enemy, player, weapon, and bullet. I also do this, which is downloading just from the CDN. I'm just going to download the library in there. Of course, you can just download the whole library and connect it. This is just the easiest way to do it for this. So let's go through main quick. So I grab the element. I'm going to set its width and height to the window width and height. And here's the first line. I'm going to make a stage that's going to use CreateJS .stage, and it's going to instantiate the stage that surrounds the canvas. So this here is preload.js. Actually, what you were seeing before, this is easel. This is going to create a load queue, which is basically exactly what it sounds like. It's one big queue of assets that are being held. This can be both sounds and images. And to get them later would be a simple call such as load queue result. So like that. So if you ever needed that anywhere, that's all you would call. If you needed for it to be a bitmap and you were instantiating a bitmap and you needed to pass a reference, you only use that line. It's already loaded. It's already in memory. As soon as you call it, it'll be added to the stage. Well, not stage, but it'll be added to whatever asset you put in. So we have create title. So this is the way you're going to make text inside CreateJS. So we have our CreateJS.text, and then you put in whatever it is, the size and the coloring. We place the XY, and the XY is a lot like Game Maker more than it's like Unity. It's going to be something that the top left is 0. This way it counts up. This way it counts down. But up. So 0, 0. Y increases. X increases. So, and to add to the stage, we're going to use the add child, and it's going to use Z indexes. And you can actually add, if you wanted something that you're adding later to be at the back, you can say add child at, and then you can just add a 0. Which I did. A 0. So it would put it at the back, and it'd be below everything else. So the other part with this load queue is that it has an event listener called complete. When complete is called, it'll actually run whatever's there. So there's a little bit of asynchronous moving through here, specifically with the preload and between. When asynchronous code is run, you have to be able to handle it. Almost every asynchronous call is made with a callback function, so it's fairly easy to be able to add on to the end of it. So we create our enemies, we create our player. I'm not going to go too much into the detail of these because these are just simple coding. But I'm going to get into the prototype generation. So let's go to player, which sounds way more badass than it is. So we have our space key, we have our left key, our right key. And the way, for everyone who doesn't know what prototypes are, they're basically the object-ish oriented way of doing JavaScript, or one of the ways. And so what we have here is my player prototype is inheriting from the CreateJS.shape prototype. So it's going to take every attribute that's within shape and make it its own. So instead of creating a shape, we can now create a player, and it will make a shape on the screen, which if we look back on the screen, is that what we'll do at the bottom? It's a little square. So if you're wondering why I didn't make a spaceship, well, it's because I wanted to actually show the shape, and I couldn't think of what else, and then later I thought of bullets. So you got it. But the little square is our ship, and he's all instantiated using a player. If we go to main, we can actually see him getting created right there. So player.new game.player. If you're wondering where game is coming from, it's just because I put it inside a namespace so that it doesn't pick up other ones. It's actually instantiated up here. I throw down here, but I could have just named, if I took out game, and just made a player, you wouldn't have to go through that, but that's a bad idea because you're going to just have to build a namespace for jobs. So this has player, it loads it into it, and what I've done is I've put in things like the update methods. So these update methods will update your weapon, which will update your bullets, and it will allow you to move the player. If we look at the player up here, if our left key is down, their X will minus. If our right key is down, our X will plus. So the biggest thing with this is that none of this code is complicated. I'm not going to get into anything that you're like, what shit is this? What you're mostly going to be doing is actually just looking at different elements, the different ways you can use CreateJS, just basics on how to connect things. So other ones that connect, are you all right with it? It's because no one laughed at it. So the other ones that connect are things like weapon. So a player has one weapon at the very top, and this weapon contains the stuff that's in here. So we have our shoot method, we have an update method. I was actually making it like super verbose. I was going to make it where you could like swap weapons and like they all inherit from each other. But I was wondering if it was going to be too high, but it would just be kind of boring to watch me do that. So yeah, that's the basics I have for CreateJS. I think I'm actually going to leave it there because Denny's is long, so I don't want to put it over. So what we have is ability to move left and right, shoot, and got these little dudes hanging going down. Good. They're not ghosts, but that's right. They're spaceships. Also, they were taken from a tutorial online. That wasn't for CreateJS. It was actually for Construct too. So yeah. But yeah, anybody have any questions with CreateJS? Yeah, I can do it on GitHub. Yeah, that's good. It's already did it in it. I just didn't actually throw it out. What? Does it have anything with WebGL? Oh, yeah. So, I knew you were going to ask that too. So, it isn't quite connected with WebGL yet. There's libraries like GreenSocks. Does anyone use GreenSocks? That's good. At least one person said they kind of heard me. It wasn't making it up. So what GreenSocks allows you to do is move simple HTML elements using the same sort of system as Tween, where you just place an XY for it to go to and reload it. They're planning on integrating to WebGL, so it would be better equipped at doing things like not even just 3D, but having a better frames per second for Canvas itself. Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, whatever.
So does this be like direct
I don't know if it's using any measured hardware accelerator. You can put HTML DOM elements inside of the canvas. I haven't personally done that much myself. I tend to make my own sprites. But I do know that, especially if you talk about WebGL, it will have that accelerated hardware, but it's not quite.
I'll toss it really quick. Is that so Tween is built on a similar system as GreenSocks, and so any movement that's going on is done on Tween. So they end up using all of its stuff to like 3D translate matrices. So it's all GPU accelerated. It still won't have quite the same speed as WebGL,
but it's slowly being integrated to actually have WebGL.
It's better than
yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, it's definitely that. The other one is that we made a thing that was using old school HTML doing it, and it was rough. We were pretty pumped when it was going 1 frame per second. We were like, yes! But it turns out that was not doable. So we switched this. This goes, well, I have it running at 60 frames per second right now. But if you use like GreenSocks instead of Tween, we can many times raise its FPS quite high. It can actually reach the 60 mark and actually sustainably hold it. So if that was any weakness, I would say if that question was to come up again, what the down part of CreateJS is. Its Tween system isn't bad. It's great. It's just that GreenSocks, if you use it, it's actually a bit faster for its rendering. So if you were to do animations, I would use GreenSocks. Okay, sounds good? Yeah, you're up.
If you don't mind, I would appreciate for you to set up my computer. Yeah, I have this Raspberry Pi at home, and I don't really know what to do with it, so you could come over and say, oh,
what did I just accept?
You didn't necessarily accept it. You didn't even know what it was until I just told you.
I was listening to Yukon Racing soundtrack. I had to turn it off.
Just think.
Arkham
I
Asylum.
was screaming with some friends. Trying to don't show that to people. It's your
Just as suddenly all these police break through the window. We got him! The Grey Goose is in here!
This is never mind. I'm not tell you that story.
Yeah, no, I've had the trouble with it.
Yeah, it's right here. It doesn't really have a well, it doesn't really matter as long as I can get it.
Yeah. Sounds good. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. So how do you follow up on this? You might ask yourself. If you would. And I think you follow up by just being yourself. That's follow up. Does anyone want to take a break? You know, you could chat about what you just heard. And I'd like to say that someone said the true measure of democracy is how minorities are treated. So, as far as I'm concerned, please feel free to break out with the group as long as we have the security of the building covered. At any point in time, you know, that's the things that we're going to have to figure out, but, you know, that's how I feel about that. And I would like, yeah, you know, that's kind of part of what I would really like is that an opportunity is created for anything that an attendee wants to do. So we're not pushing for things people want to chat with each other, and we're just pushing these presentations on one after the other. You know, talk about it, etc. Whatever it is that you want to do, those are things I would like to do. If you would like to hear, I can share some of the things that came to mind while Denny and Travis were talking. How about that, maybe? Yeah. So, you know, it was impossible to capture all the things that I wanted to, you know, talk about with them. You know, you guys while they were talking, but I was taking notes. You know, Denny, if you slip up while typing, no one's going to be on your ass because you know you're using Vim or anything like that.
I beg to differ.
I know these people.
I think we will be.
They're just waiting for piranhas.
That's actually, you're right. I mean, I'm not gonna do it. And if they do it, then you know, I mean, we talk about whether that's the thing we do or not.
I'm talking them a lot. I handle it all.
The NG overload, right? You were talking about the NG overload. You got all this code, and it's becoming harder for people to get input, and so on, and so on. I like to think about that. I've thought about that a lot, and some applications and so on. And you're not if you're just specifying how, if you're only talking to an Angular, specifying how to do the thing that you wanted to do, you're missing out on. You're not capturing the high-level description of the system. That's one of the big problems with that particular approach. So, and also later on when the person is reading it, you have to look, the person is you're reading like a big wall of code and you're summarizing for us what it does. If that's not capturing the system, it's not capturing one aspect of the story that it's trying to tell. And to me, that is the more important part of the story because that's the part that is really for people, not for the platform design. The regular password, isn't it better to use LastPass and have your passwords managed for you? Is that I don't even know. I mean, is it okay?
Did you catch that? Did I say that? Did I say that? I like to live on the edge.
Me too, I did. I really do. And I mean, just wondering if anyone has any input of that. I mean, now or whenever we're chatting. Wondering if there was a copy script in the Chrome console, because I don't really like to type anymore that much. I don't know. I mean, if anyone knows that, I'll take it. And when you opened up the Winnipeg JS project, I was expecting to see a port of the Winnipeg JS website and probably something just out of I just thought you just threw it together for just because you could, and it was there, and it was fun. And I think what makes you amazing is because it's like you look here and you gotta like use amazed and like say wow and it's not your technical capability, it's your attitude, which enables all those things and many other things. And Travis, that's it.
You're laying the same? It's all good.
But also your code, when I was reading it, a lot of the time it was, obviously you wrote that code, but I was definitely reminded of how a lot of the time you're speaking to the platform. I think we had some but you just got reminded, I'm not criticizing you or anything, I just did get reminded of the same topic that I talked about. So, I have everything written here. I have to read it off the phone because I can't other stuff. But so I would have made slides so you don't have to look at me nervously reading off my presentation script off my phone, but I did not, so I apologize for that. I'd like to say that I'm the steward of this third talk tonight because nobody else offered to do a presentation. And I had this thing in the pipeline going on. And that's that. And topic submissions historically for the past few times been discussed in the Google Groups forum. It's one of the several different facilities we have. We don't know how we're going to merge them all together and so on. Stuff like that. I'll try to show a little bit of some code I like writing, and as you saw, there's certain things about logistics of logistical. What's that? Is there going to be a break? Please. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm going to make myself available. I know the security doors there. Anybody wants to go?
Do you want me to be led to the security door? That's true.
Oh, he's just joking. We should go to I'd be interested if we I know you got the website now, kind of trying to whip up something that combines the Google Groups and our current website. I know, right? Right now, that's Jasper's favorite guys. It's all more something else. Everyone
And all that, and let's talk about what we're going to do.
yes,
Let's decide before we create.
Yeah, let's start to
So we'll decide which facilities we how to merge them and all of that.
Yeah, that's cool. Works for me.
I'm Bill. I mean, I'm gonna.
Yeah, third time now. Okay. I guess. Yeah.
Have you learned a lot?
Yeah, I sure did.
Yeah, no.
I mean, it's going to be a lot different.
I would have rather been surprised.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
I've been here.
Jeff said it was like
Oh, yeah.
stuff or something.
So it's basically it's an extra measuring time. So you feel like so the idea is that you can
40. I don't know.
But then we we decided to make that a choice because we have to do some magic of gardening. There's like I've never touched it's tough. I actually I can't. You know, I was in a dorm room. Seriously, I built that.
I had a half-hour call with vendor management. Guys, like all the phone calls so much.
Well, it's only good for
So it's team trio.
Yeah, my friends are great.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, but
There's another one tomorrow. No, this looks like 7. I think it's HU my 1.
Okay, so
Is there more?
There's a fuck ton of them.
what a lot of us so try to bother running it seems like you can tell what so whatever you do, so look at
That's on stream. I just don't want you my battery was like
I'm not so if you're on a few squares today, I just like, oh god, this is constantly I don't know. Why would you do that? Even in this app, I just said everything. I had a thing to show that would I never got to literally all I did was pass it everything. But I figured nobody was going to find out my comments. So I was there. See if we can some insertion tags. I guess that's not the boats go live. And then on top of that, the dot actually has to like when you go step the app store, I have to do I'm not exactly sure how it works. I don't want to sound yeah, and Meteor already. Usually you have to I don't know how to do it, but it's like good on the people. That's kind of been. I know what you're waiting to get the nice part of the class. Yeah, you can't tell me that I can't get right, that's what I don't that's
Start. Well done. Oh, just tap me up. I just think you ripped the whole one. That's well, maybe you should play it with it. No kidding. It's like right. Which is ridiculous. When you put it back on. I'm mismatching buttons. That's not fair. I got a bunch of spare buttons. Yeah, guys, shoot more buttons. Some shirts have them come into they're on the shirt, but then some have them all. And they're matching.
Well, I found my back.
What are you doing?
Viewers.
You're not my computer.
Hey, Durkin.
What?
Did you unmute it?
Yeah.
No, I
Probably no one watching.
Can you tell?
No. Oh yeah, people are watching.
Hi, people that are watching. I apologize for Durkin's outrageousness.
I don't know how to turn the chat on, so if you're saying something, we can't see it.
Ever since you got here, probably.
Yeah.
Oh, a couple chairs.
Oh, yeah.
It's getting late.
I don't exactly program.
He's here for the
I'm here for the feedback.
And he lives with a crazy cat lady, so he just kind of wants to avoid her. He lives with a crazy cat lady.
So she kind of.
He wants to avoid her. So that's why he's here.
Should be wicked. Maybe not get it back in, apparently. It's kind of a crapshoot at that point. I felt they should have this in one place because it's like a weapon. If you go bad shit, braining your manager with a table arm.
Or alternatively, portable cup.
Really,
Like
metal.
Which is kind of ridiculous. That's kind of an interesting idea, except for the fact that a portable cup handle, a cup holder attached to the end of your arm. Like, see this? This does the job. Oh!
The thing is, though, your hand isn't a flat surface, but this is now.
So why do I need to carry my? Oh, I need to carry all my shit like this.
What if, like,
You should.
Guys, you don't understand the genius of this, right?
That would make sense.
Alternative.
I guess you could call it an alternative solution.
So you want McDonald's wings, right?
I mean, alternative solutions don't have good solutions, right? Bad solutions are alternative solutions.
You know how they have stabilizers for cameras, right? Imagine like a stabilizer you attach your arm to a server. Would not be crazy, right? You're holding it like this and you're stabilizing.
That would be. That'd be good.
It'll be crazy heavy, right? So you gotta like attach. You have to attach your torso. So it's really heavy, right? You have a counterweight on the other side, which is another stabilizer.
You have a tray. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's not a drink.
I'm saying
But no one cares what a camera.
unless you get them full and stack them.
I don't. You know what?
Face down.
This is like one weird.
Your server came up with like 5 peripheral server attachments and basically stack them upside down on the table. I would. I would. I'd be like, we're living in the future.
Half man, half machine service. Right? It's like Terminator level.
They're simply there because
Yeah. Then you have to think of plastic.
I'm gonna make that one. Make that.
Dude. Well, you can make a small one probably. Maybe.
All you need is you can get some existing like like steady cam. That'll be $3,000.
In my mind, stacking perfect is the only good stack.
And then over like 10 years, think of all those money they would save on lost meals and
the purpose of a steady cam is a little different than what you described.
It's harder, right? Holding the middle is easy.
Good idea. For Buster in the restaurant. Buster got to take all that shit off the table.
Yeah.
You don't need to have 2 busters. You have one guy with a steady cam. You just put everything on that thing in one trip. You don't need 2 guys, 1 guy. Steady camera. This is the steadying rig. That's all.
So the difference is this restricts.
Same time you bought his car, only.
Restrict defense or shapes in the natural movement of your body from changing weight and function. Your tremors don't matter. All you're doing is actually strapping something to someone's body.
You know what? I think it's a great idea. Nothing you can say can deter me.
Okay, what about this one? There's this thing where you set the camera like, I guess at like arm height, and then a little robot would fly under, so if you drop something, the camera, the robot would go like that. And this already exists. So what if, he like threw something up and the robot just do a garbage can and just caught it. So what if it was just like a big soft ball of goo or something? And if you drop the plates, it would just go and the plates would fall into and they won't break.
You know what's really perfect?
But also, I got
The machine that drops things on purpose. The machine has a job.
Yeah.
Or
He does that
Yeah, just like every once in a while, something will just fall and
throws a big part.
and this group would just go and scoop it up.
Purpose is nothing gets broken in this fucking life.
Yeah, that's what
She would either be like sitting very nearby him, and I would be sitting here.
in the morning, Zach doesn't talk to you. You get to say bus stop, he doesn't say anything. Well, not, that's okay. He'll talk to you after.
Well, no.
I gotta get a room ACS and I have to walk to the bus stop. And then he only comes like, oh,
I'd like to start talking anytime now. If you would prefer to talk, talking now, I think it would be perfectly okay to move to the kitchen and all that. I think, or whatever, so that it's outside of the solution. Similar interests. What if this code up?
Okay, I'll laugh at that one.
You guys can take a look at it, briefly and so on. I do want to talk about something else actually also before this. With regard to organizing the logistics for these events, maybe you guys have something where you need to organize it for that. You're wondering what goes that at and how is that going to work. I'm wondering that as myself, so I'd like to talk about it. Michael Yekadaev was one of the first people to organize the logistics for the length of JavaScript. So, there were others who helped him, and they've all done the same. Except for Peter Brown, who has enabled us to meet up in his absence. And we are looking for people. I mean, we're looking to figure out how we're going to organize just for some of the people who help you out. I wanted to show just a particular style of coding and what helps me be entertained while I'm sitting at my desk and writing code. I went to Canadian Tire the other day, and I thought of ways in which my experience could have been better. Particular style of coding only matters if it enhances the experience of those we are paid to serve. This code is not often used, though I do believe if I was to run it, it would do the things it's going to do. Part of the reason it's not used is because the software that was being tested. This is an acceptance test for a website. The software, the product, is not used much by the intended audience, which is important because it proves provability and regression, so a bit of a vicious cycle. The software, the tests, let's say that. So there's not good acceptance tests, so the software has regressions, and the software is not good, so it doesn't have good regression tests. Something like that. And, the reason I liked writing it, I was hoping that maybe someone could contribute their thoughts on why they think they want to write. Obviously, it's not very long, obviously, this font size.
How you like writing this particular piece of code or in this style?
Yeah, one that like, well, yeah, that's because of the style.
Very readable.
Yeah. What's that?
Very it's harder to read.
So the deal with CoffeeScript here is that you do not have to have parentheses around the parameters of your function. That's CoffeeScript in here, and you don't have to have a var for your variable that you're just using for the first time and it doesn't bring the latest scope. Yeah, that's exactly what you're doing right now. It's nothing. And that's about it on the screen. I'm going to look at all this stuff. Font is too small for that. So what do you think? What do you think? Why do I like writing this code? Okay, yeah, I mean it's fun to evolve an idea and push it to the place where I want it to be, and it explains at the level of detail that people need to read on the user acceptance test. Those piece of information that they want to know when they open up the first script of an acceptance test. It shows that. So the person doesn't care how logging in works, but it does work without password. And then I explain what that means. It's on the line. A lot of the information of the system is explained, so you can just go in and read. And if you're just adding the project, hopefully it enables you to have to spend a lot of time understanding pieces of programmer, learn from the business, but then not document the software and the business. So then it's I think this is enough. Hopefully, not a lot of people write code like this time. And there were iterations here, right? And there's layers of that. As you see, this test up here, it tells you all about its guts. It doesn't tell you what it's doing. It tells you how it's doing. That's about it.
Mentioned like the kind of
requirements, specifications, structure, and documentation.
Say that again, I was still thinking about the notes.
You need to see the combination of requirements, specifications, documentation, plus structure.
Yes, so the requirements are executable, the spec is executable. It's very much like something like a Cucumber, you know, it tells you, given that you have a valid user whose name is this, or you know, maybe that's it's so wordy with your Cucumber, actually. But yeah, so it lets the person who needs to know how the software works, what the software does, rather. You read my software and see that it does what you want it to do. And it also does its testing because regression testing. It's an acceptance test. Behind the scenes, it's an automated browser test, which goes to the website and logs in with the values and the password, happens to put the hash table somewhere. That's something that's not bad.
Yeah, it's really concerned with the rest of the movie. I really like code that self-documents itself, and my favorite thing of all is an outline. So it's just like thinking about structure, and then filling out the code from the very top all the way down to every last thing. You can structure that in sort of a tree.
Yes, this is it.
Outline, and so if I had time, I would expect to know what a chunk of memory is. And just self-document the code. And structure and all these metrics, which are actually
There's so much.
yeah. And so that's all.
Yeah. Hopefully this gives you some idea of what to try. Something like that. I like the whole concept of providing a procedural interface so that people don't have to hear it. Why raise the bar to people's ability to use software? That WordPress, for example, famously enables large sections of people who were previously not able to access programming for the web. Doing with that's something that
Just one thing to add, the way that this code is self-documenting. Sort of, yeah, AngularJS is tries to be somewhat similar, in a similar way.
As does any proper anything, because self-documentation is something we know that.
Right, exactly. But in the way that it encourages declarative app structure. Somebody working on it. Yeah, exactly. So somebody working on a document structure and build in functionality very easily without having to care about what Angular is supposed to be doing, or whatever directive you've created is supposed to be doing. They know what it is supposed to come out with. They can put it in their HTML. And you can do whatever you want in the program.
So it lets you give a name to that. The directive gives you the name, the high level description of what it is, rather than how it does it.
Right. More easily understood that is. More productive.
Well, you give the information that the person is looking for at that time. You don't give them all your guts. You don't spill your guts. Exactly. So I'm not just going to tell you everything, but if you ask me a question, I might tell you something. Things like that, all those kinds of things. When you care, it's there. But didn't intend that to be about obviously. Say that, but yeah, very much so.
that way, every single function, subcard that, additional whatever, you can play that with somebody and just learn it at one time. Without any difficulty.
It might well provide lend itself to that. But I'm working on the and with this it's always nerve-wracking to open up the what you're doing. You know, the saying like in front of other people, who knows what it was anyway. It's really hard to show, but anyway, okay, doesn't really matter. I've done a few pull requests with the Winnipeg JS website's repo on GitHub. That's been educational and fun. Don't know where that project's specifically going to go. You know, we have to figure out how do we fit all together these facilities that were there prior to Meetup.com and the Meetup.com facilities. And, but that was fun. Michael Regudayev, the original one of those people that put this together. The first starting with the group, all those things. You know, Meetup.com wants you to call it exactly what they say, and then you call it that. But I like longer sentences.
What's out of the Google group? What is there? It sounds to me like the places that we get guests, or the members of the guests communicate with each other. There's sort of been pieces all over the map. There's Google groups and there's Meetup. What else is there?
No, so there's a mailing list, the MailChimp mailing list, and there's the website.
Oh yeah.
So then we each other. We pick what we do. You know, you do whatever is easiest. Meetup.com seems to have some easy facility on our phones and all that. It's really nice and sweet. I mean, messages.
Yeah, that works really well.
It's a great way for me to go to Android and back without spending a SMS. Things like that, you know, we figure that out. Yeah, and if you know, like I said, we need to talk about how to make this all happen and what our ideas and who wants to talk and so on. So, you know, after this meeting, there's a good time to talk, wherever we are, in this group. See that I don't run away. You know, just kind of keep half an eye out where I'm still around somewhere where you can see me and start talking about that.
No, because like, why don't we just settle up to say something that, and say something about what they're into. What you
Great. Somebody's got to be working on something.
I just I've been told I do have the project I just finished. Had to translate to national localization, and so there's an Angular plugin called Translate. That is probably super simple, super fast, and within I don't know how many hours went from nothing to fully localized app for the French language, and the client is just super pumped to believe that I had it. Angular Translate.
And go Angular.
There you go.
Angular. I've had the same experience with Angular that I came down for 2 hours.
there's nothing, I like this one guy who, Walter, he had his copy called observe.js. And, in the site of the and you put in CSS and HTML into the site. Really like to checking all that out. And from there, just gravitated straight to React. And now, just checking out some of the guys from Brazil already talking about building CSP and the processes proposal of the JavaScript, which have used on try to get on that, and then we have add-ons to that. It's a little bit of low that, and that's pretty well together. What I always like to do is activity. So I think it's really well. Oh yeah, I'm not I think gallery but I mean, like, there are a few sites in the image. It's just when you're trying to brand, and I think I don't want to know when you're trying to do. Let's see what.
Just grab that other picture.
How much this is like once I have acting fired into this, I'm not stuck. I know that if something new comes up, I swap it. I don't know. I just work the things out there. But down a bunch of links, so there's more and more people going in the course.
So I have a question for the room. Which pub are we going? It wouldn't be a meetup group if it wasn't the Yellow Dog and the
We've got Northern or whatever still going on.
Or is it after 9 o'clock in the
I don't even know what it's like to be up in the morning unless I stay up till the morning. I sleep till 12 or 1, and I'm up all night.
If anybody wants to say anything like that, we'll wrap this up. So if anybody does want to go somewhere, you can go. One thing I'd be interested in next time when everybody comes out to this, when we were just talking here about little things that we've used, I don't think you get too much of a context from that. One of my favorite things that oftentimes see meetups do is lightning talks. Anyway. Yes. Thank you. So about 5 minutes, some people can come up there, have about 5 minutes to show off a cool project they're doing. That way, you show the project, you have about 2 minutes to show the code of it after you actually show the project, and you answer some questions, and then you've done. Usually do about 30, 40 minutes of it. I think that'd be a great way to kind of demonstrate to everybody some cool projects we're doing that everybody could be set up for. You show it, and then you're done that part. So yeah, I think that's a neat way to kind of see the projects that people are doing around town, and we can look at something like that when we're coming up to the next one. But then still do, if anybody's interested, 1 or 2 of these more in-depth things. Really, I mind better, but figure out something like that. So, but if not from there, I think we can break it up. If anybody's interested, head to the pub. I will be cleaning up this place. I will be cleaning and point in a direction. We shall follow it. Not that way. All right. So, but thanks for coming out, guys, and again, thanks for Michael for you guys have stressed out. It's great to see so many of you guys have come out here along with friends and all. So I hope you come out to the next one again, and we'll get it better and better defined as we go along of exactly what we want to see. So, have a good night, guys.
Yeah, thanks a lot to Denny.